G'day, amazing humans. Hope you're having a fabulous day. Happy Tuesday from all the way from Adelaide, Australia. So, I wanted to expand a bit on how my 3 days of self care turned into 2 weeks because, 3 days, 2 weeks, there's a big difference there. I did tap just yesterday on one of the existential crisis question that I've been pondering, which was what is real and what is reality? Because really nothing is real. What is real? Just because I touch this cup doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't mean it exists. And is it part of my reality? So apart from all of this stuff, which is again, I actually started the process with this amazing book with the help of a friend of mine. So this is Women Who Run with the Wolves. I do recommend to every woman should have this book and read it multiple times and use it as a Bible because the story within that help you unlock your psyche and understand better how not just how we function but how humans in general, women function. This is more for women, but it's for men as well. Okay. And in particular, the story that we use is the story of Bluebeard. To make, I won't read the whole thing. I'll just give you the bits that are important. But there are three sisters, and there is this guy, Bluebeard. Obviously, he's got a blue beard, and he goes to them and he says, "Oh, I want to marry one of you." And the two older sisters straight away, something is wrong with this guy. His beard is really blue. Something is wrong. And but they still go on a picnic with him. And while the two older sisters, they listen to their intuition, and they're like, "Yeah, nah, something is not right here." The younger sister, she starts to do what we women have been taught to do as young children, which is be nice and override your intuition. For example, she'll say, "Oh, but the beard is not too blue, he's made a nice picnic." So trying to find the good thing about that person that is put in front of us, overriding completely our intuition. And then what happens? Well, the young one, she goes and she marry him, and he takes her to this amazing castle where she can be the queen, and he gives her a set of keys, and he say you can go in every room, you can use all the keys, but do not use this little key. And he goes away, he travels. Her sister come along, and they're really curious, and so as women are, because we are curious beings. One of the things that destroy us is killing our curiosity, which happens all the time. And so they go and they try all the keys till they find the door that this little key that he told her not to use opens. And she's like, "Oh no, I say not to open it." But the sisters are really curious. Like, "Come on, we found it. Let's open it." When they open the door, they find all the skeletons of the old wives that he killed, and the little key starts bleeding, and she cannot stop the bleeding of the key. She tries swiping it, she tried cleaning it, she tried doing all sorts of different remedies, but the key keeps bleeding. And so when he comes back, Bluebeard, he knows that she's opened the door because he asked her for the key, and the key is bleeding, and so he wants to kill her. In the end, she gets saved because her brothers come and kill Bluebeard. So she's good. The story ended up good. But the whole point of the story is looking at our darkest secret. As women, we need to be able to delve within our dark self, our shadow self, and see and accept what is part of our shadows, because we are curious, we're generally curious, and we need to know all our parts of ourselves. If we don't learn and recognize and accept all parts of ourselves, then we're not whole. There are parts of us that are missing. Okay. And a beautiful example there was if you have a garden and you take care only of the beautiful side of the garden, the other side is kind of desert. But it's not nothing is going to grow. You need to actually tend to that garden first. Okay. And this is all parts of ourselves. because within all of us there is a predator within our psyche. We all have one, and that can be the voice that tell you you're not good enough, whatever, stuff along those lines, and really mean stuff. So for me, opening the door was really, really scary. I did not want to do it. I've avoided doing it for, well, since I was 8.5. And once I've opened the door and looked into it, I saw a part of myself that I did not like at all. A part of myself that was incredibly scary. So throughout my life, I've always questioned how people can be so cruel to each other, how people can be so mean. And I despise people that were that way and were treating other people badly and were arrogant and so on and so on. But looking at that part of myself, that was the most horrifying things, I realized that everything that I despised in other people was actually within me. And I'm still horrified, by the way, because once I've opened the door, I've recognized the different voices that are part of Arlena. And I see, so when you go through a lot of trauma, especially as a child, there is a tendency of building alter egos. And I'm learning this through another book as well of psychology and abuse. And depending on what age you are, your brain is gonna be, it's gonna have different plasticity, and it's gonna be able to create different egos in a different way. So only now I've started to recognize these voices that are part of me, my emotions. So each of my emotion has a different Arlena. So it's represented by a different Arlena. Okay, and they all have different personality as well, but they're all part of me. This particular dark one has, since I've opened the door, has become incredibly loud, and it's been like, so I can see my dark shadow, my dark Arlena, and I can see my light Arlena. And then I'm at the behind, I'm the observer, observing what's going on and all the banter that is happening. And I can see that all the things that dark, evil Arlena says are really hurting good, pure Arlena. Okay. And meanwhile, I'm watching all of this going on like a tennis match. I mean, amused and horrified at the same time, because Dark Arlena is a mean bitch. She's really mean. She's horrible. And the realization that there is this part of me within me, it was like, oh my goodness, what do I do now? So as I say, in the beginning, I was getting really hurt by what I was hearing. And having done neuroplasticity and NLP and whatever else, I'm aware of how careful we need to be of our thoughts. But this was not just thoughts. This was a part of me that I've denied its existence for the majority of my life. So now it's been incredibly loud. And in the beginning, I was scared. Hence, as I say, 3 days turned into 2 weeks over, because dealing with all these emotions, it's been debilitating. Seriously, I have had no the capability to do anything else, because it's like having an atomic reaction, a nuclear reaction within me every second. And actually, on that, I'll do another video later on emotions and how that works, because I'm really curious how many people can feel all the stuff that I feel, which apparently is very, very rare. So dealing with all of this and recognizing this darkest part of myself, it's been harsh. But as well, knowing what to do with that, because one part of me wants to deny it and make it disappear. But when we try to contain something, all right, especially our darkness, even if you put it in a very tight sealed room, at some point it's going to leak out, and it's going to keep leaking out when you least expect it. And as I said, that could be in form of different thoughts that are very negative. That could be, you could even put into action certain things without being conscious of what you're actually doing. So instead of denying and hiding this part, now that it's come out and blew up in my face, it's been after, as I say, passing the hurt stage, it's been how can I give love to this side of myself? How can I shed my light so bright that the darkness has no choice but to be transmuted and reabsorbed within me? Because I've done the same work with my childhood self, walking her through different traumas and talking to her and explaining as an adult what as a child I could not understand. And then with love reabsorbing it. So the same work needs to be done with every part of ourselves, especially our darkest part, which is not an easy thing to do. But we have to do it nonetheless. Otherwise, this predator psyche is always gonna be there sabotaging us in the things that we do or don't do, the things we procrastinate, the fears and the doubts that come out. The only way to beat them is actually by facing them. That's the only way. There is no other way around. Okay. And this was a really good example of our psyche. Um, in hindsight, I'll just read this from the book. In hindsight, almost all of us have at least once experienced a compelling idea or semi-dazzling person crawling in through our psychic windows at night and catching us off guard. Even though they're wearing a ski mask, have a knife between their teeth, and a sack of money slung over their shoulder, we believe them when they tell us they're not banking in the banking business. Okay. However, even with wise mothering and fathering, the young female may, especially beginning at about age 12, to be seduced away from her own truth by peer groups, cultural forces, or psychic pressure, and so begins a rather reckless risk taking in order to find out for herself. So, with this, we go back to the fact that we have been conditioned to be nice to people and not listen to our instincts. And I am so guilty of been doing this my whole life because I have the tendency of seeing the potential and the goodness in people and discounting completely my intuition because oh, you're crazy, you're making stuff up, and so on and so on. But when you meet someone and you get a first impression, please listen to that. It's incredibly important. Okay. And we do this as well with partners and friends because and there are there could be narcissistic predators, and but because we see the good of them and we know that deep inside there is goodness, everyone has goodness deep inside them, but we use that as an excuse to um, to excuse their behavior towards us when people are being mean or they're being, they're hurting us in some way or another. So, oh, but they're just having a bad day, or deep inside, the person is a good man. He really loves me. Bullshit. Okay. If someone loves you, they're not gonna treat you like shit. Plain and simple. Because I don't treat the people that I love like crap. We're losing them if we do that. But there is this constant that we have to be nice to other people and we need to understand them. And no, actually, no. For example, another thing that I've just, that I had to change the concept recently was don't judge people. Bullshit! You need to judge people. Absolutely, you need to judge people. And when this was presented to me, I was like, what do you mean I need to judge people? I've done my best to be non-judgmental of people. You need to judge their character. So again, we go back to listening to our intuition. If our intuition is telling us there's something wrong with this person, don't discount it. Sure, I'm not saying don't talk to that person anymore, but keep that in mind and observe their behavior, observe the way they're speaking, listen, and then make your decision. But just be very careful around these things. Just looking, yes, okay. So we need to love all the parts of ourselves. which again is not easy, but that is the only way to go forward. That is the only way to overcome ourselves. That is the only way to overcome our doubts and fears, is by looking within. And I'll keep saying this over and over and over. The only way out is in. I think for myself as well was the destructive patterns of my life, and looking at why did I go into self-destruction so much. Again, so many, I've been swamped by so many emotions. One of the biggest emotion is being rage, anger, pure fury, and disbelief. And all of that type of emotion started at age 8.5, when the sexual abuse as well started. I was not aware of this though. Only now that I've been doing this work, all of this is coming back, and I've been hit constantly by this terrible, terrible rage and unfairness and disbelief in the world. And it's coming up now because I'm looking at it, and I've refused to look at it most of my life. I refused to look at those parts that were so tired of the world, so tired of people, and hence why as well I had to take a lot of time off, because I just could not cope with anyone, with anyone's energy, which I become really sensitive to. I am not capable at the moment of being in big groups. It's really challenging for me being in big groups now, and I need a lot of silence, a lot of silence, a lot of quiet. I've been using as well different techniques that I will share with you. Um, So, the main points that I wanted to touch here is we need to look at the parts that we despise of ourselves most. And if you don't like something in someone, again, look within. Why are you not? Ask yourself the questions, because we go back to the question that we ask ourselves. They're very important, and we need to keep changing them and trying to find the right ones to give us the answer that we're looking for and the solution that we need to, again, overcome ourselves and go forward. And overriding our intuition is a big one, because this society, that reality, I call that reality down the hill, it does not match. So for me, I always been very clairvoyant and intuitive. But as a teenager, because my intuition and everything that I was seeing and hearing did not match with the outside reality, I just thought I was going crazy. I thought I was completely losing it. And so I switched everything off, because as well other people were telling me, you're making shit up. You're crazy. But by doing that, I destroyed a part of myself. And now it's been the work of listening to all those parts of myself that I've denied their existence. And they're incredibly fucking loud. It's not fun. But it needs to be done. See, otherwise I wouldn't be here talking to you. I do hope that my process is gonna help you, because I know a lot of us humans at the moment we're going through massive transformation. So I hope this was helpful, and please drop a line, and if there is any topic that you like me to expand on or talk about, or there is something that in particular you like that I said, please share it. I would love to hear your feedback, and I hope you have an amazing, amazing day. Lots of love.